Learners, I welcome you all to the lesson 17, Caring for Others of Secondary Level English. We all know how love and care are two important things that bind us together. We love our friends, cousins, brothers, and sisters. But there are some people who give their unconditional love and support to people they not even know personally. They even care for those who are alone and helpless. They do not look forward to any reward for their kind actions. What can we call such people? Shall we call them the saviors of humanity? We should be proud of them. Learners, over here, this lesson is divided into three parts. The first is an interview with Mother Teresa. The second is a report about Janki Iyer and her school, Anand Bharti. The third is the story of a young girl called Bhagya. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to state the purpose of taking an interview, frame questions for an interview, recognize the selfless services of some great women, use the adverb clause of time, observe the positive impact of love and care, recognize the need to sacrifice for the benefit of humanity, and develop self-awareness about how you make difficult choices and decisions. Learners, try to read the lesson on your own, twice or thrice. Coming to the gist of the lesson deals with different types of people who are driven by a cause and passion to do something for humanity. Such people are selfless workers and do not work for rewards or recognition. Nothing pleases them more than bringing comfort or happiness to others. This lesson is divided into three sections. The first section is in the form of a dialogue with Mother Teresa, who came all the way from Italy to serve the poor and destitute and the dying. The second section is a report about Janki Iyer and how she runs a school for the poor. The third section is a story about a girl called Bhagya, who works as a domestic help and the efforts she makes to educate herself. Learners, now read the first section of the lesson, part 1, section 17.1. I'm sure you all have heard about the saintly lady who came all the way from Italy to take care of the poor and the needy and the dying in India, because India has the largest population of poor and needy too. There are not many people who are sensitive to their needs. Mother Teresa's heart was moved by the pathetic condition of such people who were often left to fend for themselves out in the street uncared for. What did she do for such people? Let's find out. First, let us know about Mother Teresa's early life. She was born in South Yugoslavia. She had come to India at the age of 13. She had come to Darjeeling to teach. Her heart was moved when she saw so much poverty and suffering in India. In 1931, she gave up teaching and decided to serve the poorest of the poor. She was a Christian and belonged to the Order of the Missionaries of Charity. The mission does a lot of things for the benefit of the poor. For instance, this mission runs more than 40 schools where more than 30,000 children are educated. This mission also has mobile dispensaries. You can call them dispensaries on wheels, which move from one place to the other to distribute free medicines to the poor wherever they are. Other organizations, institutes that she ran included training centers and destitutes homes for the poor and the needy. In 1979, the world honored her for her selfless service to humanity by giving her rare honor in the form of Nobel Prize for her services to the poor. She was also given the Bharat Ratna by the Government of India in 1980. Let us now read the extract from an interview she gave to a journalist called Malcolm Muggeridge and find out what she had to say about her initial problems. Malcolm asks her to explain what she meant by using the term home for the dying. Did she imply those people who are on the streets because they have been abandoned and are dying? Mother Teresa clarifies by saying yes. Then she explained the problems she faced in trying to establish a home for herself. She gave example of the first woman who she picked up from the street. She had been half eaten by the rats and the ants. Mother Teresa took her to the hospital, but the doctors refused to treat her, saying they could not do anything for her. But when Mother Teresa stood there stubbornly, the doctor had no choice but to take in the patient. After that, she went to the municipality and requested them to give some place where she could give some shelter to such people and take care of them. The health officer of the municipality took her to the Kali temple and showed her the Dharamshala. She was very happy to have some peace. As soon as this place was given to her, she set about doing her work. In the next 20 years, they had moved their patients in. As soon as the patients were moved, she and her team started the work of the home for the sick and the dying. In 1952, she was able to start her first home for the dying. Malcolm next asked her what exactly she was doing for these dying people after bringing them into the shelter. Mother Teresa explained that the first thing she does is make them feel wanted. She wants them to know that even if they have been cast aside by the society, there are people who really love them, care for them, even if it means that they just have a few hours to live. She feels it is worthwhile making them feel loved for the remaining time they are left with. Above all, it is very important for them to know that they are the children of the God and that they are not forgotten and that they are loved and cared. Malcolm next questions her on what happens to those who would get cured. Mother Teresa tells him that they find some jobs for those people who are capable of working. Others are sent home where they can spend the rest of their lives in happiness and comfort. Learners, the essence is to give hope, comfort, happiness, dignity, and the feeling of being loved and cared for to a person who is suffering and has been neglected by the society. We need to remember that we are all children of God, and it is our duty to help each other, especially those who are in need. Learners, now read section 2, 17.2. In this section, we'll read about a non-formal education system which is run by Janki Iyer, a social worker. It is heartening to note the effort she had made with minimum resources to give quality education to those who did not have the means to go to a regular school. Let us find out what she has done to impart the best kind of education to these marginalized sections of society. Think about this, learners. Can a 70-year-old woman do something constructive for the society, or is she only fit for home and care of the grandchildren? Can she do something unusual and become a role model for society? This article is taken from the Deccan Chronicle, which highlights the special school called Anand Bharti, run by Janki Iyer, a 70-year-old woman. Janki is very different from other women of her age. She teaches girls who are domestic helpers who cannot attend a formal school. The report tells us that although the school is a non-formal institution, the students and the teachers are very serious about education and examinations. The school has highly qualified teachers and other staff. The aim of the school is to educate the students as well as to make them strong and confident people with values and skills which will stay with them all their lives. There is a small quiet house a little distance from the Tamaka crossroads. This house is called Nida, which means a refuge. Attached to it is a small school. This school comes into life in the afternoons when one can see a lot of hustle bustle of girls. These girls are all domestic helps who can work and who actually work as maids in different households and later come to the school in the afternoon to learn to read and write. The woman who runs the house and who has a house in Nida is Janki Iyer. The reporter says this is no non-formal education sector. Why does the reporter say so? He says this because education is taken very seriously both by the students and the teachers. The girls who study here take public exams just like other students in the country studying in either the government or private schools. Some of these girls even pursue further studies in the residential schools. They get admissions after qualifying in the entrance exam of the concerned institution. Some others go for higher studies to colleges and universities. It is interesting to note what Janki Iyer does to make this school complete and run like any other formal school. Let's see what her stake to claim this recognition is. Innovative teaching methods are used to teach and help these first-generation learners. What do we mean by a first-generation learner? A first generation learner is a person who is the first in the family to start learning to read and write. His parents and forefathers never went to a school and could neither read nor write. The curricular and extracurricular activities are also a regular feature of the school curriculum. These include field trips, discussion on current events, etc. Anand Bharti is not just about education. One can hear many people commenting that the children studying at Anand Bharti are transformed into confident individuals, and that along with the education values are also instilled in the students in such a way that they remain permanently etched in their character and mind and stay with wherever they go. Everybody is extremely fond of Janki. She is simply and fondly called Ja by her friends. Janki is about 70-year-old, but she is very energetic and lively. To look at, she would perhaps give you a feeling that she is like any other old woman you see in your neighborhood sitting across the wall, babysitting her grandchildren. By saying this, the writer wishes to tell us that she is very soft-spoken, ordinary-looking, very humble and gently. When speaking, she chooses words very carefully, clearly and precisely. This shows that she has a well-ordered mind. Despite her age, she is able to attract young people towards her, like bees are attracted to honey. It is her love and charm that does the magic. No wonder the school named Anand Bharati sounds so befitting and appropriate. Janki has been able to attract many young professionals to her school. This is one extraordinary practice she has started in her school. In this way, Janki is able to bring professionals to teach her students so that they do not lag behind due to dearth of teachers. Despite the fact that these professionals are extremely busy with their own careers and the fact that she has a number of highly educated teachers helping her out, Janki has been able to attract and retain teachers from underprivileged backgrounds. When a child needs to be put into a residential school or needs to go in for higher studies in college, Janki has many friends who help in sorting out the different problems that crop up with each individual and each case. For example, Sandhya, a 15-year-old student, wanted to take up a combination with vocational training. She was helped and guided through these workers and experts. Janki Iyer is doing a great service to these domestic workers by educating them. I'm getting a lot of help from committed teachers and young, enthusiastic professionals who volunteer to help in the school. I am very thankful for it, she says. With such committed social workers, there is a hope on the horizon. Learners, read the section 17.3. This is continuity of the previous section. Janki recalls the story of an exceptionally keen student called Bhagya. As we all know, there are many people who want to study to improve their lifestyle, yet we find most of them are not able to do this for many reasons, such as family responsibilities, sickness, or shortage of money. In this unit, Janki Iyer tells the story of one such person called Bhagya, who is a poor girl working as a domestic help, but her passion for studies is so great that she does not fail to attend classes at Anand Bharti. One day, she has to make a difficult decision. She is offered a job for 100 rupees, but she decides to give it to her friend just because she can have an education. Let us understand the story in detail. Bhagya was just a 10-year-old girl. She was one of the students at Janki's school, Anand Bharti. She would come to the class at 2 p.m. along with her younger sister, Swarna, and baby sister, Swapna. As soon as she came to class, Bhagya's behavior would change. She would be a different girl, she says. She would immediately hand over the baby sister Swapna to Janki and look happy and relieved on shedding her responsibilities. For the next 2.5 hours, she would be totally engrossed in her work. Like any other child of her age, she participated in all the activities, be it an exercise in Telugu or sums or drawing. After playing around for a while and scribbling on as late Swapna too, Janki would then put down the baby and start her work. Her work would by then get more intense. Everyone in the school seems to be busy and enjoying their respective activities. so much that nobody would realize how time passed. Before anyone could realize it, it would be 4:15, the time for games. Baby Swapna showed different moods on different days. Janki says on good days, she would sleep throughout, even through the game's time. The school would get over at the 4:45. One afternoon in July, Bhagya came to the class wearing a pair of rubber slippers. When Janki asked, she explained that she had started working for the occupants of a flat. This gave her a little extra income with which she bought a few things for herself, which she badly needed. Another day, she wore pretty green bangles on her slender wrists. They looked beautiful on her wrists. Janki says she was reminded of Sarojini Naidu's poem in which she talks about bangles as delicate, bright rainbow-tinted circles of light to my mind. This trend of purchases and possessing new items continued. Soon Bhagya had a set of new clothes. Days went by. We continued our work in the afternoon, she says. Bhagya was busy cooking and looking after Swapna in her own home. She also had her work in the flat on the third floor. Some days she would come late to the class. Janki would get angry. Bhagya did not say anything in self-defense, rather took her admonition with a serious downcast look, showing how sorry she was for that mistake. One day, Janki found Lakshmi, another student of hers, going along with Bhagya to the newly constructed flats. When Janki inquired, she told her that Bhagya had got her work in one of the new apartments. Bhagya too came running excitedly to tell Janki that the lady of the flat wanted her to work for 100 rupees per month. But Bhagya refused to take on the work, in spite of the fact that she was badly in need of money. She said she could not take up more work because she wanted to study in the afternoon. If she took up that job, she would not be able to attend school. So, she said she had decided to give that job to Lakshmi. The reply left Janki stunned. So great was Bhagya's desire to learn and study. Bhagya had made a deliberate choice. She did not mind sacrificing an extra 100 rupees, which she would have earned every month in order to study. Janki was impressed by the way she explained and put it in words. She was absolutely clear about what she wanted. Learners, let us come to the summary of the lesson. The lesson is about different way in which people show their love, concern and care for people in the society, especially those who do not have access to a lot of facilities, who are poor and marginalized. The lesson is divided into 3 subsections. The first one is in the form of an interview where a journalist interviews Mother Teresa and finds out how she started her work. Mother Teresa, a Yugoslavian lady, had come to teach in Darjeeling. When she saw the plight of many poor people, she was quite touched by their state. Most of these were people who had been abandoned by their families and left to suffer on their own. They were little children to grown-ups who were suffering from some or the other disease. She first organized some space which she could use as a shelter for such people. With the help of the health officer, she acquired a shelter behind a temple. She did not complain but was happy with whatever she got and started her work. In one case, she took a half-eaten woman to the hospital where the doctor refused to attend on her, saying he could do nothing to her. Mother Teresa insisted that the doctor should take up her case, otherwise she refused to budge. She did her best to serve people who were almost on the verge of dying. She wanted everyone to know that there are people who were there to love them and care for them. She was of the opinion that we should give them whatever happiness we can. Some of these people would die, and of those that survived, she would arrange some jobs for them, and yet others would go back to their families. The second part of the lesson is a report about a school which is being run by Janki Iyer in Nida. She takes in all those children and adults who want to learn. Her school hours are in the afternoon to enable them to do their morning chores and come at a time when no one is required to work in houses. Most of her students are domestic workers. Janki runs the school in a very professional way. She has a number of voluntary teachers on her roll, but she also arranges experts to help her teach or run other errands for school. Her timetable is flexible and curriculum is varied and dynamic. She organizes trips and excursions and also prepares children for admissions to other residential schools or colleges or any other higher study. The third part of the lesson is a story of Bhagya, a 10-year-old domestic help. Bhagya was a keen student, so she started attending the school. She had to carry her baby sister along with her. Surprisingly, in Janki, she found a mother who lovingly took the baby from her and babysit her, thus letting Bhagya study properly. She noticed many changes in Bhagya. One day she wore bangles, another day she wore a new dress, and so on. Bhagya explains that she bought all this from the new salary she got. Later, however, Bhagya gets another job for 100 rupees. Bhagya chooses not to accept it. She gave it to Lakshmi, her friend. She did all this to ensure she was able to continue school. Learners, there are some social issues and points to ponder. After reading the lesson, what comes to your mind? Why are most of the people suffering? What are the different kinds of sufferings they go through? Why is society so indifferent towards these people? Do they live a dignified life sitting on roads, or when they are suffering from some ailment and there is no one to care for them? What can government do to provide support to such people? What can communities and societies and individuals do to help the needy? People like Mother Teresa and Janki Iyer are far and few. There are little girls like Bhagya who know at a tender age what the value of education versus money is, and they can make a correct choice. Little Bhagya was so much fond of life. She wanted to enjoy the colors of life by earning a little extra so that she can fulfill some of her desires. Have you ever thought about the suppressed cravings they have? What can we do in our respective colonies and societies? Is social work the exclusive domain of adults, or can children too help? Learners, let's learn grammar. There are some statements and try to understand them carefully. As soon as she comes to the class, there is a change in Bhagya. Second sentence, after Swapna has played around for a while, she has her afternoon nap. Now, as soon as she comes to the class, after Swapna has played around for a while, these words tell us something about an action and when it was done. Since it is a group of words with a finite verb in it, it is a subordinate clause. And since it qualifies the main verb, that is the action verb in the main clause, it is functioning as an adverb. We call such group of words with a finite verb a clause, and if it adds something to the meaning of the verb, it is called an adverb clause. Finally, in the said examples, the indicator is time. When something happened, they are adverb clauses of time. An adverb clause begins with words like whenever, while, after, before, since, when, as soon as, and till. An adverb clause of time tells us about the time when an action is performed, when a certain action is performed. An adverb clause answers the question when about the main clause. When about the main clause. An adverb clause answers the question when about the main clause. For example, in the said examples, the question we can put to ourselves is, when is there a change in Bhagya? Or when does Swapna have her afternoon nap? An adverb clause should not be confused with an adverb. For example, I saw the movie yesterday. I saw the movie before I left for Jaipur. Both these sentences answer the question when, but in the first sentence, yesterday is an adverb. It is not a clause because it is one word only. In the second sentence, when you ask the question, when did you see the movie? You get the answer, before I left for Jaipur, which is a clause. A clause has a subject and a full verb, that is, a subject and a predicate. The answer, before I left for Jaipur, has a subject, I, and a verb, left. So it is an adverb clause of time. Now, learners, try to do the exercises given in your textbook. Coming to another section, framing questions for interview. Learners, what is an interview? An interview is a conversation between two or more persons. It is a conversation in which questions are asked by the interviewer to get some information from the interviewee. An interview is conducted for a specific reason. It could be an interview to test the knowledge and suitability of a person for a particular job. This is the most common kind of interview. An interview can be conducted to collect information about life, work, and achievements of a famous person. It could also be an interview of a well-known person to find out his or her opinion about important social, political, cultural, and other topics. What is a report, learners? A report is a presentation of information already collected through an interview, observation, or in some other way. Some important features of a report are relevant and accurate facts, use of narrative style for presentation, coherence and connectivity of points. When interviewing someone, you have to form your questions very carefully, learners, so that you are able to get the maximum information from the interviewee. You can ask certain questions. You can ask about the person's action. If you can get people to describe their actions rather than their beliefs about themselves, you'll see a clearer picture of them, one unmarred by slogans. Try to ask open-ended questions. Try to ask pointed questions and light-hearted questions. You can also ask short questions and then follow up. Learners, I hope you understand how to frame questions for interviews. Now, I'll give you an exercise. Imagine that you have to interview Janki Iyer to collect information about Anand Bharti School. Make a list of 5 questions you would ask her. Make a list of 5 questions you would ask her. Coming to the conclusion of this video lesson. Love and care join people. I hope you understand, learners. You can create a better society if you take care of the people who need you. You can do it in many ways. You can take care of the sick and the neglected like Mother Teresa did. Or you can hold the hand of a little child who has to cope with the responsibilities of an adult and help him or her to move forward like Janki Iyer did. There are other ways you can help the needy, and each of us should try to help such people in whatever way we can. However, a person who is in a difficult situation should set goals for himself or herself and work very hard to achieve them like Bhagya did. You should not give up hope and courage or forget what your goals are. You sometimes need help from others who are in a position to help. But you also need to help yourself by working hard to improve your life and achieve your goals. Learners, with this, I hope that you have understood the lesson well. Each lesson of secondary level English needs your undivided attention before writing the exam. Best of luck. Thank you.